Many people have asked me what my position is on abortion and abortion rights, especially since I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. They wanted it ended. It must be remembered that the Democrats are the radical ones on this position because they support abortion up to and even beyond the 9th month. The concept of having an abortion in the later months and even execution after birth, and that's exactly what it is. The baby is born, the baby is executed after birth, is unacceptable, and almost everyone agrees with that.
Once you go all in on taking away Americans' right to abortion care, only to find out that the vast majority of the country is against you, all you can do is act like it's a winning argument despite the electoral losses.
I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end.
Republicans have been playing the anti-Roe versus Wade argument well for decades. Politically, they've been able to rail against and demonize reproductive rights with the goal of reversing the Supreme Court decision so that loyal voters that felt they have the moral high ground would vote for them in hopes of one day reaching those goals. But now that Trump fulfilled their unpopular promises that were more effective as electoral tools, they have to live with the results. It works similarly to their manufactured fears of the libs are coming to take your guns. They consistently told their voters that as long as they support them in elections, they'll protect them from Democrats fulfilling their goals of disarming gun owners. There never was a threat to their guns, and in my opinion, sadly, there never will be. But as long as the GOP keeps folks worried about the possibility that never becomes a reality, they'll keep harvesting their support. So now that Trump has become the champion of people that never considered or cared about the overwhelming amount of health care that comes with abortion care, he has to avoid being held accountable for ushering in more of this.
This is one of our willow boxes. This is just filled with some of the things that we had started gathering for her while I was pregnant.
Yep.
There's her little baby book. This is the outfit that she was gonna maybe wear home from the hospital. All of these. This is the blanket that she was in. And these are her little footprints.
It's okay.
When politicians dismiss reality for the sake of their desire for power, the results of the decisions are felt by the most vulnerable and least powerful in society. You don't have to be a doctor or an expert on women's bodies to understand how abortion care is different for everyone and necessary for some. So when it's misrepresented for political gain, blatant lies like post-birth abortion are created by people that have no consideration for the health and lives of pregnant people. Dr. Jennifer Conti, who's an assistant professor at Stanford Medicine, dispelled the political narrative that this debate is about babies being murdered on hospital beds. Dr. Conti pointed out that abortions after 21 weeks make up less than 1.3% of all abortions in the country, and that abortions that occur after 24 weeks take place less than 1% of the time. So if we listen to experts in the field rather than politicians in campaign mode, we learned that there are many reasons that 1% of people may need abortion care after 24 weeks, like health of the mother, or the diagnosis of extensive fetal abnormalities that the fetus just wouldn't survive. We heard just one of these tragic stories that was made worse by legislators looking to make a name for themselves rather than representing their constituents. Instead of looking for understanding behind many people's decisions to seek abortion care, we opt for blaming the pregnant person, simply assuming that in every case, they just want to end their pregnancy on a whim, even victims of rape.
As Christians and as pro-lifers, we believe that life begins at the moment of conception. And science also proves this, regardless the circumstances. And I know there's a lot of pro-lifers or a lot of Catholics or Christians that say, I'm in the pro-life movement, I'm against abortion. But in cases of rape, no. We must be pro-life, and no matter the circumstances, because abortion will never undo a rape, ever.
If a person chooses to carry their rapist baby to term, that choice is included in that term, pro-choice. There isn't a mass political movement looking to create laws to force victims into getting abortions after they've been assaulted. But there is a movement to force them to do the opposite, even if they're 10 years old.
Ms. Foster, you think a 10-year-old would choose to carry?
In the 10-year-old case, first of all, the Ohio...
No, my question is, would a 10-year-old choose to carry a baby?
In the Ohio case, the Ohio Attorney General said that abortion would have been justified.
Focus on the question, please. Would a 10-year-old choose to carry a baby?
I cannot...
Do you think a 10-year-old should choose to carry a baby?
I believe it would probably impact her life, and so therefore it would fall under any exception and would not be an abortion.
Wait. It would not be an abortion if a 10-year-old with her parents made the decision not to have a baby that was the result of a rape?
If a 10-year-old became pregnant as a result of rape and it was threatening her life, then that's not an abortion. So it would not fall under any abortion restriction in our nation.
When they have to voice their pro-life stance out loud, they get the chance to hear how little they care about the life of a child who's been assaulted, even by a family member. And that's when talk of exemptions and caveats are introduced. But those are disingenuous too.
Did you just hear some disinformation?
Yes, I heard some very significant disinformation.
Why don't you tell me about that?
Yes, an abortion is a procedure. It's a medical procedure that individuals undergo for a wide range of circumstances, including because they have been sexually assaulted, raped in the case of the 10-year-old. It doesn't matter whether or not there is a statutory exemption. It is still a medical procedure that is understood to be an abortion. Beyond that, I think it's also important to note that there is no exception for the life or the health of the mother in the Ohio law. That's why that 10-year-old had to cross state lines in order to receive an abortion.
So here's a little more proof that this is all a mental merry-go-round for the former president, who was seemingly a different person on the subject when he wasn't attempting to adopt a political agenda for the sake of getting elected and escaping the law.
I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. And again, it may be a little bit of a New York background because there is some different attitude in different parts of the country. And, you know, I was raised in New York and grew up and work and everything else in New York City. But I am strongly for choice, and yet I hate the concept of abortion.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth abortion?
No, I am pro-choice in every respect.
He even dispelled the myth that Americans who are pro-choice don't enjoy the thought of or the reality of having to discuss abortions with their doctors. His biggest cheerleaders and enablers knew who Trump was before he became their deity. He was always a self-serving narcissist. They just didn't know they'd become the ones serving those interests.
You have endorsed former President Donald Trump in the 2024 race. That's a change from where you were when he ran the first time around back in 2016. You said then that you believe he lacked character and a moral center. I'm curious why your opinion on that has changed now, why you are now endorsing him.
No, I did endorse President Trump the first time around. Before I got to know him, before many of the country got to know him, I just knew a little bit about his reputation and some things he had said. Look, President Trump and I are very close. We work very closely together. I was one of his impeachment defense lawyers. As you know, you covered that whole saga. I was a very close ally of his in Congress. I'm convinced he's going to be the next president of the United States, that he will get a second term. And I'm very much looking forward to that happening because we need him to come in and bring those policies back to fix this country.
The entire Republican field in 2015 openly voiced their true feelings about how flimsy his morals and principles really are. But when proximity to power was on the line, they lost their standards as fast as he took over their narrative. Fealty to a man that doesn't show any signs of concern for the country or its people isn't a political ideology. It's just ritualistic devotion. Evangelical leader Bob Vander Plaats is apparently noticing this.
And what you're seeing from the former president is character being revealed. Character being revealed, first of all, of Governor Reynolds and what he did by cutting a video against her, two of the most popular governors and the most results-producing governors in the country, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, and you completely throw them under the bus and you call them names, and that just because they don't bow the knee to you. That's not leadership. The number one hurdle for Donald Trump is I've never met a dad or a mom or a grandpa or a grandma who have told me they want their son or daughter or grandchild to grow up to be like him. That's a big deal. Trump deserved to lose my endorsement. Matter of fact, I've never endorsed him. But he proved he was not worthy of the endorsement. Of me, of the ministry, and by extension, the broader body. Because I think they're seeing through this as well. This is smoke and mirrors. This is not leadership our country needs.